If you grew up in the 2000s, chances are that this episode had an impact on you in some way, shape, or form. At the very least, I can almost guarantee that someone has hit you with the iconic Wumbo quote at least once in your lifetime. We start the episode with a zoom in of the Krusty Krab. Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy burst in so that they can...
No nonsense, Barnacle Boy! We've got to keep up our strength for the fight against evil!
Mermaid Man orders himself an adult meal and orders a silly meal for Barnacle Boy. Mermaid Man tries to pay with a nut, bolt... I'm not a carpenter, but Squidward says he cannot accept that form of payment. Barnacle Boy pays, angry at Squidward for simply doing his job. Have you ever worked in retail, Barnacle Boy? And tells the cashier not to expect them to help the next time that he needs it. And cannot just say, that's a little far for Squidward just doing his job. SpongeBob overhears that his heroes are at the Krusty Krab and starts charging at them for an autograph. Mermaid Man sees that it's that sponge kid, and they run out of the restaurant. On the way out of the restaurant, he ended up dropping his belt. SpongeBob comes out just as they find the invisible boatmobile, and Barnacle Boy tells Mermaid Man to floor it as they speed away, leaving the belt in SpongeBob's hands. He thinks about chasing them down to return it, if only for a moment, but then decides to hold on to it until after his shift is over. He puts it on and begins pressing random buttons and finds a small ray when he aims it at a barrel of pickles. He gets excited and begins making mini patties for the cockroaches, and we get that iconic scene of the roach eating a Krabby Patty. Squidward asks what's going on and realizes that SpongeBob has Mermaid Man's belt. He puts together that SpongeBob actually stole the belt, and he threatens to tell Mermaid Man. SpongeBob begs, actually panicking, like, look at him, he is in distress, for Squidward not to tell his hero. Squidward, on the phone, asks to speak to Mermaid Man as soon as SpongeBob zaps him with a shrink ray. Squidward demands that SpongeBob return him to normal size, but SpongeBob has no idea how to do that. He begins to press all of these random buttons, and the most horrific things begin to happen to the squid. After suffering enough, he literally cut Squidward in half. He screams for his coworker to please stop and says that they should just call Mermaid Man, but SpongeBob says that they can't do that. They go to Patrick for advice. The starfish thinks that Squidward is an action figure and gets really excited and begins to play with him. SpongeBob tells Patrick that it's not an action figure, that it's the real Squidward, and explains the situation. Patrick sees that the belt is set to M for Minnie, but it should be set to W for Wumbo. SpongeBob says that he doesn't think that Wumbo's a real word, so Patrick begins to use it in various sentences.
Come on, you know. I Wumbo, you Wumbo, he, she, me, Wumbo. Wumbo, Wumboing.
I wonder if a fall from this height would be enough to kill me.
Wumbology? The study of Wumbo? It's first grade, SpongeBob.
That's good enough for SpongeBob apparently, and he apologizes for ever doubting his best friend. SpongeBob shoots the ray, but ends up shrinking Patrick. SpongeBob shoots the ray, but ends up shrinking Patrick instead. Squidward asks SpongeBob if he'll ask Mermaid Man how to undo it now. SpongeBob is still refusing. He puts his neighbors into a jar for some safekeeping. Sandy greets her friend, and SpongeBob panics and shrinks her too. Larry, Mrs. Puff, and all of the other residents of Bikini Bottom end up suffering that same fate. We cut away to see that every single citizen is crammed into this little jar, even SpongeBob's parents. Mermaid Man pipes up and says that he would understand, and SpongeBob realizes that he even shrunk his heroes. Mermaid Man asks if SpongeBob tried setting the belt to Wumbo. The lid explodes off of the jar, and the citizens decide to attack the sponge, chopping and sawing away at his insides. Ouch. SpongeBob helps out by shrinking the town and then himself, and the citizens are like, yeah, that's fine. They begin to celebrate being able to go back to their old normal lives as Plankton, now seeming huge, steps off of a bus. This episode was always one of my favorites. Personally, I love the Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episodes, and this one gave us some iconic moments like the roach and Wumbo, and here comes the giant fist. Honestly, a 10 out of 10 episode, always been one of my favorites and is highly quotable.